Welcome, fellow citizens of YouTube. I am Based, and today Bakhmut is getting real interesting, so let's talk about it. As you've probably seen in the title, there are rumors of a coming Ukrainian counterattack in Bakhmut to relieve the city. And Mr. Based is gonna be so nice that I'm gonna cover it first. So, let's put out the painting tool so I can show you what's going on. The Russian sources are claiming that Ukrainian groupings are gathering around here. Especially big groupings in this area. Presumably to counterattack Bakhmut, the Ukrainians have also gained some grain. Nochmal neu. Presumably to counterattack Bakhmut, the Ukrainians have also gained some ground into this direction, which makes complete sense for a, counter-pincer movement around Bakhmut to cut off the Russian pincers. We know that the Ukrainians certainly have the capability to pull off something like this, probably with high casualties, but they do have the equipment and training for that. But I don't know if that's really a good idea, because the Ukrainians need forces for their upcoming counterattack in Zaporozhye, which is probably the best way to bring Russia to the negotiating table if they threaten to take Crimea away. Then Russia has two choices: either escalate completely, which is dangerous for them, or get to the negotiating table, which is the more easy option, if the Ukrainians even desire Russia at the negotiating table. But that's the theory behind it. And most people say that this is the most likely offensive, and this would also be the most efficient way for an offensive. Of course, if the Ukrainians take back Bakhmut and the surrounding area, the Russians have to go through the whole procedure they took 7 months for again, and the Russians took thousands of casualties doing that. And maybe that's the plan: force the Russians to take all this ground again and lose men in the process, maybe inflict casualties so high that the Russians reconsider their plans. But if the Ukrainians do this counterattack for Bakhmut, which they say is a strategically unimportant city.
Bakhmut is strategically irrelevant. Haha, Russian bozos attacking useless Bakhmut. Gains made in Bakhmut offer little operational benefit. Bakhmut is gay. Nobody cares about Bakhmut. Nobody loves you, Bakhmut. I wish I could think for myself.
I have a video on that coming up. It's gonna be very nice. It's gonna be my best video. But then the Ukrainians won't have the necessary equipment to pull off such a big offensive in Zaporozhye or any other region. Because a fight, an offensive, a big offensive in the Donbass always costs many casualties for both sides. So I think what's more likely is the Ukrainians are gathering their troops in this area because they want to abandon Bakhmut soon, and they don't want the whole front to break away and the Russians to directly advance towards Konstantinivka, Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. The Ukrainians want to make them bleed all the way through these fields and villages. So yes, there are small counterattacks, small tactical attacks happening in Bakhmut against the Russians, but maybe it's just a diversionary attack to slow the advance on Bakhmut down, so the Ukrainians can, fortify their lines in this area, so the line behind Bakhmut doesn't break down. And the Ukrainians here in Bakhmut don't get trapped and can retreat in peace. So this is the breaking news. This fight is getting real interesting.